Fizzy Farm is back in business, and y'all, I'm parched. In our last year, we made good progress with the bachelors and bachelorettes, and were able to give each and every one of them a bouquet. This year, I want to get into the mixology business, and besides the mods I already had installed last time, I've also added 2 new ones that will make Emily a true mixologist, with her own cocktail menu at the saloon, and add many new requests to the special orders board that all have to do with my drink-making endeavors. You can find links to all of them in the description. Of course, I also have some thirsty goals for this year in the valley. I have to see all the spicy 10-heart cutscenes and get a healthy dose of affection from my lovers. But I also want to find out what happens when they realize I haven't been the most faithful. I'll make getting all of the star drops a top priority, which of course means I'll have to decide on a marriage partner, even though the thought of settling down terrifies me. And my last goal is to participate in the Stardew Valley fair by filling up my whole Grange display with cocktails and mocktails. It's basically free advertising for my pub on the farm. Oh, and remember my real-life mission to learn 1 beer please in every language? Thank you tons to everyone who left a suggestion in the comments section of my first 100 days. And make sure to keep your ears peeled for your language. If you've got a translation that's missing from our collection this go-around, please drop it in the comments. The Mimi abides. Alright y'all, let's get started, cause I'm thirsty. New year, new me, and new villager outside my door called Kent. Hey daddy-in-law, welcome home. I was very happy to see Hugo again, and when I saw Robin outside my house, I remembered she was working on my final house upgrade, which will give me a basement with casks. Then I enjoyed a nice morning espresso before prepping my farmland for the new spring seeds. While hoeing away, I was thinking of yummy spring cocktails, and had a craving for a good old Aperol Spritz. Light, bittersweet, and refreshing. Also, let me take this time to address some mistakes I made while ordering beers in my first 100 days. It seems like my Swedish sounded a lot more like Norwegian. I kind of have to rely on Google Translate to learn the pronunciation, and I mean...
En öl, tack. En öl, tack.
I'm sorry, but the robot ladies just sound the same to me. But thanks to a few helpful comments, I'll give it another go. Ein öl, tack. I hope that was better. I also learned that I messed up the Polish one, so here's a revised and hopefully better way to say 1 beer please. Jedno piwo proszę. Most of the languages in this video are going to be way outside of my comfort zone, as I'm more familiar with Germanic and Italic languages and their pronunciation, but I swear I'm doing my very best. Now back to the gameplay. Since I had already met Birdie, I had an old war photo in a chest that I gave to Kent, who gave me a tomato salt in return. Linus was offering his community cleanup quest, which I gladly took to get access to the fiber seeds. Hey Maru, are you a carbon sample? Because I want to date you. Hey Leah, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 9, and I'm the one you need. I bought 24 of each seed type, as well as 192 rhubarb seeds from Sandy that took me all day to finish planting. The start to day 114 was very exciting. Harvey sent me a letter saying he had a surprise for me. Hey Slimmer, hey Screwdriver, how y'all doing? My journal started blinking when I took some eggs out of the auto-grabber, which reminded me I had taken Gus's omelet quest at the end of last year and had apparently just finished it. After putting the tomato salt on a sign outside of the winery, I saw that the greenhouse was coming in nicely. There were 3 bananas and several star fruits ready, which were replaced with ancient seeds and put into kegs. Sure, these train goodies and oak resin are nice, but where's the surprise I was promised? When I walked into the saloon, Emily told me she wants to expand the menu with cocktails and mocktails and needs special ingredients, but doesn't have a local supplier. Of course, I offered Fizzy Farm services and was excited to see how this would go. Gus appreciated the tomato salt and gave me a Stardew Valley rose to add to my sign collection. Day 115 proved once again that Gus is an awesome person, as he had sent me a mini fridge. You've really got to step up your mail game, Jody. Also, I checked out my new basement filled with casks. Pretty sweet. More ancient fruit in the greenhouse was ready, which I turned back into seeds, and once I had finished my farm chores, I drove to the desert to hand Sandy the rose that was almost as pretty as she was, getting a TV remote in return. Hey Haley, did you just come out of the oven? Because you're hot. Then I did the whole red paperclip spiel, trading the stuff I got from different NPCs for other stuff, and each time Hugo took me back to the farm so I could display them on my signs. Hey Abigail, you must be tired, because you've been running through my mind all day. The daily chores of day 116 were quickly finished thanks to my trusty cup of joe, and I kegged more coffee to be able to stay as caffeinated as possible. Hey Penny, your hand looks lonely. Can I hold it for you? Kent enjoyed his birthday daffodil, and I asked Clint for an iridium watering can upgrade. Then I was off to the island. Hey Alex, want a raisin? No? How about a date? Hey Elliot, if you were words on a page, you'd be fine print. The farm was in need of a quick cleanup, then I gave Birdie her late husband's locket. Are you sure you don't want to check out the other fish in the sea? After taking on Key's crop quest, which can be a bit of a grind but very worth it for 100 key gems, I got to meet the cute gorilla when I gave him one of my bananas. The first beans popped out of some trees I chopped down, and I found a wild cacao pod on the ground, which I had only ever gotten from Haley in a letter. Then I planted the beans on the island farm and walked back to the valley to head to bed. Day 117 was a decently lucky day, so I bought some bombs from the dwarf and popped a lucky lunch before heading into the Skull Caverns. I had a great time, getting more key beans and finding loads of prismatic shards. Passed out on level 98 when 2 AM rolled around. The first crops of the season, parsnips and garlic, were fully grown on day 118. Pierre's family was off to visit the island resort, but luckily he left a box out where I was able to buy more potato seeds to plant on the open spots. After making a quick pit stop at Clint's to pick up my watering can, I went to level 100 of the mines to fish for trash. I'd been planning on putting it into the dumpster to finish Linus' quest when Harvey surprised me with a hot air balloon ride. Going to the saloon is a great idea. Hey, Harvey, did you happen to bring your island outfit? I had a great time crafting 50 more kegs to add to my growing collection in the quarry and used my key to the town to get to the island that evening, where I put down more sprinklers and planted all the key beans I had collected yesterday. I woke up on the island on day 119 and planted the taro roots and rice shoots I had in a chest before going on a trek through the volcano to gather more cinder shards to enchant the last 2 tools. By the end of it, I had found 45 more cinder shards, went to go get prismatic shards from a chest, when I realized I had gotten the tiger hat. At the forge, I got archaeologist on my hoe, which would be pretty useful to find the last artifacts, and master on my fishing rod, which was also nice. Then I planted the few key beans I found in the volcano on the island farm before heading home, where some fully grown potatoes were waiting for me that I put into the brewing stations to make vodka. Day 120, I harvested my kale and the spring flowers, as well as the fully grown star fruits in my greenhouse that I was able to replace with ancient fruit seeds. I found 2 of the new modded quests on the special orders board, and decided to go for Linus's quest called Calico Dreams to get 3 Calico Vanilla. Hey Haley, I think you might be lacking some vitamin me. The wizard was nice enough to give me a Junimo hut in exchange for some fiber, stone, and star fruits, and after planting some parsnips, I ran into this emo encounter. Sebastian, life without you is like a broken pencil. Pointless. Linus gave me 900 gold as a reward for the vanilla beans, and I decided to head to the saloon to reinvest the money. When I walked in, Clint needed a little lesson in sweet talking. But I must say, he isn't the quickest learner. Also, Gus and his patrons were really enjoying the giant omelet made with fizzy eggs. I was able to pick my first key fruits on day 121 and saw that Mr. Key was offering the Loved Gifts quest. Of course I had to take it. I crafted 3 more seed makers to add to the greenhouse, rebeaned my key fruits, and found a nice little collection of ancient fruit and starfruit wines ready in the shed. While I was on my gift-giving spree, I took a quick break to open some geodes, and unfortunately I only got 1 new thing to donate to the museum, a barite. But at least it got me a crystallarium. Hey Sebastian, let me just wiggle in here. Ah, that's nice. Oh, Elliot, you really know how to woo a woman with your piano playing skills. I wanted to buy a Nani beer for Shane, but could only practice my foreign languages with the box, since Gus was on the island. But it understood what I wanted. Ei, caixa do Gus. Uma cerveja, por favor. I hit a tiny milestone today when I finally found the first morels of this playthrough, which actually don't spawn in the Mushroom Cave on Ginger Island, even though you would think they did. My first vodkas were ready in the winery, and I made a pretty chunk of change that night. On day 122, The trees in the greenhouse were now all fully grown and bearing fruit, which was exciting because I'll be using it to make fruit syrups for cocktails. Pam had asked me for a pale ale last year, and today was the day I finally got around to giving it to her. Sorry, bestie. Then it was back to handing out more gifts. That's when I found Haley in her dark room, and apparently I could have been more forward with her and let my thirst flag fly. Well, that's disappointing. Looks like I missed my shot. Vincent got some birthday grapes, and I said hi to Krobus before heading to the bar. Hey Gus, yksi olut kiitos. Hey Maru, I hope our fling will be like the number pi. Irrational and endless. Since it was raining, I spent the evening at the lake, where I missed the first time it bit, but ultimately caught the legend, one of the last fish I needed. Then I warped to the island, where I put down all the seed makers I had, and planted as many key beans as I could before I had to head to bed. Elliot had sent me a letter on day 123 inviting me to come to the docks. Y'all know I love surprises. Then I put down more sprinklers and the rest of the key beans. When Willie dropped me off at the valley, Elliot was already there waiting to put me in a different boat. You're lucky I was looking forward to this, otherwise this could have felt a bit threatening. I found a golden relic and a strange doll in the desert and handed out the last loved gift for Key's quest to Sandy, before buying 100 deluxe speed grows and almost 200 starfruit seeds. I also caught the scorpion carp while I was there, another difficult fish I don't have to worry about anymore. After harvesting some green beans, I was just trying to be a good Samaritan and give Emily an apricot she wanted when I found all the boys at the saloon, who had their panties in a bunch because of me. I told them to calm down and that I only did what I did because they were all so pushy, but it didn't seem like they accepted that explanation. Luckily, we were still all in our relationships, but I think they won't talk to me anymore. I tried to take my mind off of it by fishing for a ghost fish and a stonefish on level 20 of the mines. Day 124 was a super lucky day, so I went to the Skull Caverns. It went fine, but nothing really special happened, and there wasn't a ton of iridium lying around. I passed out on level 98 at 2 AM. Before the Egg Festival started on day 125, I picked all of the fully grown crops and put down the 100 speed grows I had gotten from Sandy. The Junimos picked their first crops, which was nice to see, and I shipped whatever I needed to fill in the shipping log, then kegged the rest of the veggies. I bought 200 strawberry seeds, the plush bunny, the banner, and a few flamingos from Pierre, and ignored the boys for now to give them the space they needed to come to terms with my polyamorous tendencies. After winning the egg hunt and 1000 G, I planted all the strawberry seeds I could and still had a few left over. Day 126 was another very lucky day, and before heading to the Skull Caverns, I picked my crops and got upset with Pierre for not selling anything before 9 AM. I thought about waiting for him to head to his cash register, but decided against it and would take care of the planting tomorrow. The desert trader gave me 50 staircases for my jades, then I went back into the Skull Caverns. I passed out on level 135, with almost 400 iridium ores and 2 more prismatic shards in my pockets, amongst other things. Day 127 was a day of farm maintenance. My sturgeons were asking for pickles, and I had to ship some for the shipping log as well, so I put 2 green beans into preserves jars. Leah was offering a quest called A Bushel and a Peck, to get her 4 wild strawberries and 4 wild raspberries. Good thing I have like 300 at home in a chest. Hey Haley, is your last name Campbell? Because you're good. I had bought as many cauliflower seeds as I could afford from Pierre and filled the rest of the open-tilled spots with some fiber seeds. I kicked lots of rhubarbs, and luckily my oak resin farm at the train station was ready, so I was able to craft 30 more kegs to add to the quarry. More iron had finished smelting overnight, so I crafted 16 more kegs on day 128. Of course, I filled all of them with more produce. Hey Penny, if you were a potato, you'd be a sweet potato. I completed Leah's berry quest by handing them into a plant, of all things, which netted me 1,360 gold. Tons of key fruits and all the rice and taro roots were done growing on the island, and I went with Key's kindness quest again, since I still needed to get my friendships up anyway. Plus, it's kind of my brand to seduce people with gifts. But I immediately remembered that the boys weren't talking to me, so I wasn't quite sure if I'd be able to finish this quest. I spent the rest of the day rebeating the key fruits and passed out while planting them. Leah had sent me a crafting recipe for a berry basket in the mail as a reward for finishing her quest on day 129, which looks like a cute little decoration, but you need 12 spice berries to make it. I finished rebeaning and planting the key beans, then found some patrons arriving at the island resort. Hey guys, I'll let you know when the Fizzy Farm speakeasy is open for business, but for now you can relax here. I wanted to buy the modded trees to plant on my farm, but they weren't showing up in Pierre's inventory, so I just bought 100 sugars. Hopefully it's just because he's on the island right now. Harvey was pretending to be busy with work, but I knew he was just ignoring me. I started making my first fruit syrups and saw that lots of kegs were finished processing, which I refilled with coffee beans and rhubarbs. Then I spent the rest of the day gathering hardwood to be able to craft more brew stations and made over 150,000 G from all the wines, juices, and iridium bars I had shipped. The pickles were ready on day 130, which made my sturgeons very happy. I collected my first mango and banana syrups and replaced them with apples and peaches. I also made my first floral and aromatic bitters with the modded forageables, and I'm going to have to work on expanding my stock of ingredients before I can start making real drinks. I tried to hand out gifts, but sadly the boys won't accept them from me anymore. Well then, Harvey, at least let me through so I can talk to Maru. Now that Pierre was back at work, I was finally able to buy a lot of the modded trees. Ahigas, ke kopabiri. Ooh, and a few Autumn's bounties for Lewis too, please. Hey Penny, wanna go to the movies? I bought her a star cookie, and after watching the brave little sapling together, she was finally at 10 hearts. The last bachelorette I needed to max out. At the end of the day, I tried to find some nice places around the farm to plant my new trees. Day 131 started with a letter from Penny asking me to come to the bathhouse after dark. I might have to try to finish Key's quest first, or else there won't be anyone left to accept my gifts. The first 100 Speak Row strawberries were fully grown, and I kegged as many as I could, then handed out more gifts. Ordering beer from a box isn't as fun, but here goes. Annyeong sangja, megju hanjan juseo. I got to see Gus on the island, so I ordered a pina colada from him in person. Luckily, the boys were coming back around again and willing to let bygones be bygones. Well, looks like I can go see Penny now after all. Yay! After handing my last gift of the day to Sandy, I finally put a solar essence in the sand dragon's mouth, which was part of a quest I had started last year. Then collected the peach and apple syrups, replacing them with oranges and pomegranates. Yay, more new syrups to add to my little collection. Soon I'll be making the most delicious cocktails. I found a club card in the lumber pile outside my house, meaning I would now have access to Key's Casino. Then I handed out more gifts to the bachelors who were willing to give me a second chance. Hey Alex, are you Italian? 'Cause I want a pizza you. Hey Harvey, is there an airport nearby, or is that just my heart taking off? Hey Elliot, do you like bagels? 'Cause you're bagels. 180 key fruits were fully grown on the island farm and were rebeaned and replanted for hopefully the last time. I also got really lucky and found the last snake vertebrae, completing Professor Snail's museum. When I headed back to the mainland, I found Willy and gave him the last gift needed to finish Key's quest. After taking a look at the missing fish in my collections tab, I decided to work on filling it up on day 133. Before getting started on that, I opened up a few artifact troves and geodes and was able to donate 2 more things to the museum, getting a magic rock candy as a reward. Then I asked Clint for the final trash can upgrade and went to level 60 of the mines, where I fished up an ice pip. I was just trying to go to the island to do some more fishing when Jody and Sam decided to get into some deep talk right outside of Willy's shop. Why don't we talk about this over a beer, you two? I picked and shipped 85 key fruits, then fished up a stingray and a lionfish. Now I just need a squid, an albacore, and a halibut. I wanted to finally go and meet Penny at the bathhouse, but she stood me up. Wow, that hurts. After drinking my morning espresso on day 134, I got to work taking care of all of my farm chores. I spent the whole day picking crops and fiber, kegging strawberries, collecting oak resin, and making more kegs. There were only a few days left in spring, so I filled up the empty crop fields with potato seeds. I also collected more hardwood and smelted metal ores, then decided to try my luck at the bathhouse again. Penny was there and told me she couldn't stop thinking about me. I told her I felt the same way, but left out that it was because she was the last person I would get to share a steamy evening with.
Isn't that amazing?
Now I'm going to have to think about how to proceed with the bachelors and bachelorettes, seeing as I'll have to marry somebody someday. The letter I got on day 135 telling me about tomorrow's flower dance made this even more clear. Who should I ask now that I've put all of them under my spell? Well, that'll be a future Mimi problem. For now, I picked more strawberries, coffee, ancient fruits, and tree fruits, then made my first ancient fruit syrups. I crafted 8 more iridium sprinklers to put on the island farm, and on my way there, I picked up the wizard's curious substance quest. Hey Sam, I'm gonna have to call the police, because it's got to be illegal to look that good. After putting down the sprinklers, I planted 192 starfruit and a couple of pineapple seeds that would earn me a pretty penny once kegged. Keys Dangers in the Deep quest was up for grabs, then I headed back to my farm in the valley where I added 2 more brew stations to the winery to increase my syrup output.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Future Mimi's day had come, as day 136 was the day of the flower dance. I was debating who to dance with while taking care of the farm. I'll eventually have to get married at some point if I want to reach perfection, so maybe I should dance with that person? But I also really don't want to give up my flirty ways yet. I bought some decorations for the farm before taking a good look at everyone. For starters, Haley and Alex are too health conscious for me. Mara and Penny are honestly kind of boring, and a doctor definitely won't make a great bartender. These people also don't exactly scream fun, and I know Shane would probably be the obvious choice, but I don't want to tempt him to fall back into bad habits. I mean, Elliot might be a good choice. He's an author who likes a good wine. So, him it is, although it still feels kind of wrong. Luckily, marriage wasn't a pressing issue at the moment, since I still had a lot to get done before having to worry about perfection. So on day 137, I dove into the reset mines. After getting down to level 10, I took a quick break to warp to the desert to trade 3 prismatic shards for a magic rock candy, but went straight back in once I had it. Abigail, what are you doing? By the end of the night, I had found a good amount of radioactive ore, 2 pearls, and a galaxy soul. Passed out on level 39. What a shame. On day 138, I crafted as much Hyperspeed Grow and Deluxe Speed Grow as I could, then picked all of the strawberries my Junimos wouldn't come out to get since it was raining. I warped to the desert where I was very happy to see hundreds of fully grown key fruits. Hopefully these will be the last ones I need to ship, but I put down the last few beans I had with some Hyperspeed Grow, just in case. The rest of the fertilizer was put on the starfruits, then it was back to the mines. The going was slow, since it was a very unlucky day, so at some point I decided to eat my magic rock candy. And it was a good thing I did, because it freed up a spot in my backpack that an ectoplasm I hadn't seen whooshed into. Passed out on level 65. Some of the last crops of the season were ready for the picking on day 139. I realized I was missing 3 stupid key fruits, but luckily I still had a few that would be fully grown tomorrow. A memory of the ectoplasm will go right here on a sign in front of my winery. Then I went to Marnie to buy 2 new animals. A piggy named Shirley, like a Shirley Temple, which is traditionally a mocktail, and a little sheep called Lemon Drop, like a variation of the martini. After handing the ectoplasm to the wizard, I went to Clint to finally pick up my iridium trash can and open the geodes I had found. Luckily, I got both of the minerals I was missing for the museum, a Helvite and a Fairy Stone. And now only needed 3 more artifacts to get that star drop. I made it down to level 91 in the reset mines, where I died, lost lots of cool stuff, and immediately passed out. Wow. Day 140 was the last day of spring. I pet my new baby animals and got to pick and ship the last key crops. I warped to the desert, where Sandy sold me 600 starfruit seeds, and the desert trader gave me 37 staircases for my jades. The staircases made finishing the Reset Mines quest a breeze, and even though I stopped here and there to collect radioactive ore, I was done before 4 p.m. I saw Haley and was just trying to sweet talk her when I stumbled into a gathering of all my girlfriends, who were very upset with me. Ladies, calm down. It's just a lifestyle choice. They wouldn't hear it, but I knew they would get over it soon enough.
Isn't that amazing?
I decided to take my mind off of what had just happened by planting as many starfruit seeds as I could. I also rebeamed the Speed Grow key fruits I didn't have to ship, since the fully grown fruits disappear from your inventory once the quest is over, but you can keep any leftover beans for the next time. The beginning of the new season started as it always does. I was daydreaming about a deliciously thirst-quenching bourbon iced tea. After getting rid of the dead plants, I went to Pierre's to buy 48 melons, 5 tomatoes, peppers, hops, and corn, 24 radishes, 2 poppies, 25 spangles, 24 red cabbages, 24 blueberries, and 4 wheat. Hey Shane, if you were a chicken, you'd be impeccable. The rest of the open-tilled spots were filled with starfruit seeds. Planting is so much quicker with upgraded tools, so I even had time to get a lucky charm from the truck driver, collect oak resin up at the railroad, and make more syrups and juices. Day 142 was a really lucky day, so I warped straight to the desert. But I didn't want to go to the Skull Caverns. I regretted my decision to go so early when I got there and realized I would only be able to enter the casino at 9. When I was finally let in, I bought 100 key coins and played at the Calico Spins machine until I had enough to get an alien rare crow. My greenhouse was full of ancient fruit, and at the Adventurers Guild, I took a look at my Monster Slayer goals, which were only about half finished. Using 3 stacks of wood I bought off of Robin, I crafted 27 more kegs, added them to the quarry, and kegged whatever I could. I love wine day. The deluxe scarecrow recipe was in the mail on day 143, so my visit to the casino had paid off. I would have been worried by the look on Haley's face, but I knew she would allow me back into her heart in a few days. Then Willie took me to the island where I wanted to work on his tropical fishing quest I had picked up a few days ago. Geohoit Gus, Pionte Bjor Lotahol. He was offering the extended family quest, and I had so many key gems thanks to the completed Key's crop quest that I bought all of his crafting recipes, Pierre's missing stock list, and 80 magic bait. Then I fished until I had 5 blue discus and 5 stingrays. Now I just need the 5 lionfish. On day 144, I gave my lava eels 2 mega bombs and the sturgeons 3 omni geodes they wanted, then turned some more potatoes into vodka. I gave Pierre's missing stock list and was told off by his salty daughter, then spent all day fishing up the extended family for Key's quest and managed to get all 5. Do you guys think fish drink water, or is it more of an osmosis thing, where it just seeps into their bodies because they're constantly surrounded by it? More espresso, less depresso. On day 145, 20 more kegs were added to the quarry before it was off to Ginger Island, where I successfully fished up the 5 missing lionfish. I was very happy to see all the men enjoying their time at the resort. Hey Harvey, are you a beaver? Because damn! It was already pretty late in the day, but since I needed cinder shards to craft an ostrich incubator, I headed through the volcano and managed to get the monster eradication goal for slimes right before passing out at 2 a.m. Day 146 started with a volcano run that wasn't really anything special, but I did finish slaying 500 magma sprites and had enough cinder shards to craft that incubator. That evening, I fished in the ocean with Key's magic bait, getting 2 of the 3 fish I was missing, a halibut and a squid. The albacore didn't bite, but I'll try again some other time. Since I wasn't able to keep up with mailing all of the eggs my thirsty coop animals were laying, I crafted 5 more mayo machines on day 147, and also put an ostrich egg into the incubator. Some radishes were fully grown and replaced with starfruit seeds, then Gil gave me the slime charmer ring. I spent a few hours slaying void spirits before I got bored, and went to my island farm to harvest and replant starfruits. I was able to make my first pineapple juices and star bitters, and was getting really close to having enough ingredients to make my first cocktails. Also, I had finally found enough spiced berries to make the cute little berry basket recipe and put it on the table in my house. Then I spent the last hour of the day kegging delicious star fruits. On day 148, I installed a new mod that will update special orders quicker, because I really want to get the drinks orders going and hadn't seen any so far. I set it up so the board would refresh on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. The oak resin was ready, and in much more important news, I realized that the ladies were talking to me again. Today, the special orders board had a quest from Gus who wanted 6 foraged fruits. I happily obliged and got 1250 G as a reward. Kamusta Gus? Dalawang alak niya po. I shared the second one with Shane. Then I finally realized that Emily already had her own little cash register, so I could take a look at her limited menu that you can expand by completing special orders for her. I crafted 20 more kegs for the quarry and kegged some salmon berries to have cheap wines on hand for cocktail making purposes in the future. I'm sad to report that I lost the footage for day 149, and I'm not exactly sure what happened that day. All I know is that I had loads more crystallariums than before on day 150. I must have picked up Key's Danger in the Deep quest, because after picking the red cabbages and replacing them with yet more starfruit, as well as picking up Evelyn's quest to get her 8 herbs, I headed into the reset mines. It was actually going pretty well and the slime charmer ring was coming in handy, but the dang squids got me and I died. I wouldn't let such a little setback stop me though, and went back in after eating a delicious Fizzy Farm cheese. Abigail, you again? I don't know, maybe the acoustics are good down here. Passed out on level 27 at 2 AM. The luau took place on day 151, and I was looking forward to flirting with all of my little lovelies again without fear of being given the silent treatment. Before going to the beach, I saw that Maru was asking for someone to give her mushrooms, so I obviously nabbed that quest. Hey Elliot, are your parents bakers? 'Cause you're a cutie pie. Hey Leah, I know you're an artist because you're so good at drawing me in. Hey Sebastian, do you have a map? Because I just got lost in your eyes. This year, I put a gold star cheese into the soup, then hung out with Pam to have a few drinks before asking the governor to try it. Maybe I'll make it a beer soup next year. Since I lost all my spicy eels when I died in the mines 2 days ago, I warped to the desert on day 152 to trade my rubies for more. I tried to give Evelyn her herbs, but apparently she didn't want my lemon thyme. I'll have to try something else some other day. Then it was back to the reset mines, where I died immediately. Thank goodness I didn't lose any items, so I just ate a cheese and kept going, making sure to keep a closer eye on my health. I staircased straight through the disgusting ghost levels and got the Monster Slayer goal for skeletons before passing out on level 75. Day 153 was super lucky, so I replenished my stock of bombs at the dwarf before warping to the desert. In the Skull Caverns, I made sure to slay all the dinos, serpents, and mummies I could, inching closer and closer to finishing those monster eradication goals, and thus to perfection. On day 154, I crafted a couple more crystallariums and 5 bone mills and moved them all to my empty shed. Besides jades, I also put frozen tears and quartz into the machines to get more for drink-making purposes. A fair amount of juices and wines were finished processing and replaced with starfruits and strawberries. It was a big starfruit harvesting day, and there was still enough time in the season to plant one more round. I didn't quite have enough seeds on me, so I visited Sandy to buy more, and since it was a Sunday, I traded 41 jades for staircases at the desert trader while I was there. Once all the seeds were in the ground, I finished the Reset Mines quest with the staircases, earning myself 40 more easy key gems. Made over 300,000 G that night. I used 2 frozen tears to make my first coffee delicacy, cold brew, on day 155. While the coffee maker was working away, I traded in Omni Geodes for 14 artifact troves, then headed to Clint's. Hey Abigail, are you a Wi-Fi signal? Because I'm definitely feeling a connection. I actually got 2 of the last 3 artifacts I needed, an ancient sword and elvish jewelry, and now only need the shoulder blade to finish that collection. After adding 25 more kegs to the quarry, I tried looking for it in the quarry mines by slaying the flying skulls, but they didn't drop it. Back on the farm, the cold brew coffee bags were ready, and I put the salmonberry wine into the brewing stations to make brandy. It looks like I'll need sugar and milk to turn the coffee into lattes. Then I took Clint's Cave Patrol quest to kill 50 dust sprites before setting sail to the island, where lots of starfruits were ready to be picked. The starfruit picking didn't stop on day 156, and although it sounds kind of boring to say it so often, it continues to be one of the most satisfying things to do in summer. Determined to find the shoulder blade, I hacked away at the bone nodes at the dig site and actually found it. Back on the mainland, the ancient fruit in the greenhouse was also ready to be picked, and I was already giddy to make some more expensive wine. Gunther happily accepted the last artifact and gave me the coveted star drop that reminded me of aspirin. I tried to finish another collection by fishing for the albacore with magic bait again, but it still wouldn't show itself. What a bummer. My first bottles of brandy were ready on day 157, and I made a calico morning blend with vanilla and a sweetheart blend with a strawberry. The ostrich had hatched, and the randomly generated name, Wet Sick, kind of sounds like a slang term for a hangover. I was thinking about keeping it, but decided to go with Paloma instead. Hey Paloma! I finally got around to crafting an oil maker for Shirley's truffles, then saw that the coffee bags were already finished processing, and used cacao pods to make mocha ground coffee. Robin was asking for 80 hardwood, and I handed Mara the 5 mushrooms she had asked for in exchange for 1,250 G. Then I spent the evening in the mines, slaying dust sprites that looked more like mushrooms themselves until I had killed 50 to finish Clint's quest. The coffee making continued on day 158, where I made morning blends by adding some solar essences to my coffee beans, and I found lots of ancient fruit and starfruit wines in my kegs, which I sold to Pierre. I hadn't finished Evelyn's herb quest last time, so I took it again, hoping I would find something she actually wanted. At the ocean, I didn't have to wait long before an albacore finally took the bait, filling in the last empty spot in my fishing log. Of course, this had to be celebrated in the saloon. Hi Gus, gai kuru oskvelichinda. Since the coffee blends were ready, I also got to make my first lattes with milk and sugar. That evening, I started working on filling up the shipping log by shipping one of all kinds of stuff. Yay, look at these delicious looking lattes. Do you know what the best kind of letter is? The kind that has a star drop in it. Thanks, Willie. More lattes, brandies, and club sodas were ready in the winery on day 159, and I used coconuts to make toasted coconut ground coffee. Thanks to all the things I had shipped the night before, I had enough money to get the island obelisk, the best and most useful one of the 4 you have to get for perfection. Then I just spent the rest of the day chopping hardwood for Robin's quest. On day 160, there were 2 holiday blend ground coffees waiting for me in the coffee machines, and I immediately turned one of them into a latte. I was able to hand in 80 pieces of hardwood to Robin, finishing the job, and I found Sandy's Desert Bloom quest on the special orders board, which tasked me with getting her 5 forest lavenders and 5 forest chamomiles. Evelyn was hanging out in the community center, where I was finally able to hand her the herbs in exchange for 2000 G. Apparently, it just doesn't work if you have different qualities. Since I already had the flowers in a chest, I took some to the desert and put them into her shelves, netting me 1600 G. I also got to keg lots more starfruit since the other batch of wines was ready, and I made a 250,000 that night. I found some meringue mushroom starters in the mail on day 161. I think they were from Sandy, although she didn't sign the letter. Hey Harvey, you know those gaps between your fingers? I think they were made for mine. I felt like I had enough frozen tears and quartz for drink making, so I added a few more crystallariums to the shed and filled them all with jades. Then all I did for the rest of the evening was put down more pathing around the farm. It was the dwarf's birthday on day 162, so I gave them a nice topaz. Then it was off to the desert and into the skull caverns to face the monsters that were especially deadly thanks to Key's quest that I had taken yesterday. It went really well, seeing as I was able to check the dino, mummy, and serpent eradication goals off of my checklist, meaning I only needed to kill a few more void spirits to officially be a monster slayer hero. Dying on level 129 put a tiny damper on my happiness, but I didn't lose anything important, so it was fine. I collected oak resin before heading to bed for a well-deserved night's rest. Isn't this one of the most satisfying sights? Unfortunately, I still wasn't getting any cocktail quests from Emily on day 163, but I did find one from Demetrius called Tastes Like Chicken to get 15 mushrooms. There was only 1 week of summer left, so I had decided to start planting wheat on my crop fields to keep them tilled for fall. I put some sugar into my brew stations to make rum before heading to Ginger Island to set up a few sprinklers I had found in the Skull Caverns to expand my starfruit fields. I also bought 2 more Galaxy Souls and 2 Junimo chests from Mr. Key, and took his Prismatic Grange quest. Then I went on a late volcano run, kind of hoping for the hot Java ring, but I didn't get it and passed out before I could get out of there. I went straight to the forge on day 164 and used my 3 Galaxy Souls to make the Infinity Blade. Then tried my luck at getting the hot Java ring again. It didn't work though. After doing my farm chores at home in the valley, I sold Marlin my old weapons and rings and picked up the rewards from Gil. Looks like I only have 45 void spirits to go. I was kind of digging the arcane hat, so I put it on. Then I warped back to the island to forge the slime charmer and napalm rings together. The rum was ready, so I made tequila with cactus fruits and shipped one of every bottle I had to continue to fill up the shipping log. Glowtini gave birth to a baby cow that night that I named Gimlet. I spent the beginning of day 165 working on my quest log. After finishing my chores on the farm, I brought Kent a starfruit he wanted to give to Jody. Nice, but next time you might want to consider getting her a wine. The bear got a maple syrup, and I tried to hand in some common mushrooms to Demetrius, but it wouldn't work. Assuming I would only be allowed to use modded mushrooms, I went to go get some when I found my first tequilas in the brew stations. Then I headed back to the carpenter shop, where I bought the furniture catalog from Robin before handing in the mushrooms, getting over 5,000 G. Then I dove into the mines to finish the Monster Slayer gold for Void Spirits. One step closer to perfection. There were more mushroom starters in the mail on day 166, this time checking up the wood starters from Demetrius. It was Leo's birthday, who I had been ignoring for the most part up until now. It's nothing personal, it's just that he's a child and thus very uninteresting for my thirsty goals. He can't even have a coffee. A good amount of starfruits were ready to be picked, and I crafted 34 more kegs. The quarry was now full, so I had to start lining them up on the road leading to the tunnel. Salvegas, unum serviciam gratias ago tibi. Cheers, Leah! I went to the movies with Pierre, but only because I'm trying to finish off the last few friendships that aren't maxed out. I got him some salted peanuts and some decorations for myself from the Crane game before watching Journey of the Prairie King. That night, Lemon Drop gave birth to a baby sheep named Stormy, like a dark and stormy. Day 167 was a wonderfully thirsty day. My second and last round of summer starfruit on the farm had grown in and was picked. Then it was time for the biggest kegging day I had had in this playthrough. I started by kegging all of my coffee beans, then got to move on to kegging starfruit. Why is this so satisfying? I also finished Key's Prismatic Grange, but realized I don't have a use for his key gems anymore. Made 1.3 million that night. No biggie. The Queen of Sauce taught me how to cook roasted hazelnuts on day 168, and I immediately made a few to give to Kent as love gifts. It was the last day of summer, and after harvesting the final peppers and hops of the year, I decided to take some time to color the chests in front of my house to match the aesthetic I was going for. Since I had given Pierre his missing stock list, I wanted to be prepared for the new season tomorrow and bought all of the fall seeds, as well as the grass starter recipe and some basic cooking ingredients. Using the Wizard's Book of Summoning, I placed the desert and mountain warp obelisks in front of my house, then went to Robin for some house renovations. This definitely won't be needed. No need to scar a child's psyche with my lifestyle choices. Then I decorated around the farm a bit. I'll have to be careful right here so I don't... Great. Okay, I definitely won't make that mistake again. Now that everyone knows what they can expect from me as a lover, I openly flirted with anyone I could at the beach before watching the dance of the Moonlight Jellies. Hey Penny, I've changed my name to Microsoft. Can I crash at your place tonight? Shane, is summer over? Because I'm about to fall for you. Emily, you're so beautiful that you made me forget my pickup line. Elliot, are you French? Because I fell for you. Leah, I wish I were cross-eyed, so I could see you twice. The first day of fall was uneventful. I chugged my morning espresso, then got to work getting all the seeds in the ground. A new season means a new seasonal cocktail craving. Of course, anything with apple cider would be perfect, but one of my favorites is a twist on a classic Stonewall. I had a couple of hours left at the end of the day to put down a bit more pathing and set up a few bee houses right here. After placing a few more decorations on the morning of day 170, I warped to the island to check on my crops. Marnie, Lewis, why are y'all being so coy? I know what'll help in this situation. Merhaba Gus, ich bin Lütfen. Loosen up, you two. After a plentiful starfruit harvest, I was back in town where I found two very tempting quests on the special orders board. Ultimately, I went with the Island Ingredients quest, since it would give me the last crafting recipe I needed, but it was a tough decision, because I think the other one would have finally expanded Emily's cocktail stock. Then I once again spent my evening decorating more of the farm, hoping it will be a cozy place to enjoy a nice beverage or two. On day 171, I made flapjacks to make some donut shop ground coffee blends. My greenhouse was full of beautiful produce, and when I took a look at the special orders board, I went with the quest to grow and ship 100 amaranth. Then I decorated a bit more of the farm, planting some tree seeds in different places. I also decided to take the Danger in the Deep quest from Mr. Key again, just in case I want to get more mushroom tree seeds from him to decorate with. Nothing super special or thirsty happened on day 172, since I just spent it in the Skull Caverns, gathering iridium ore to smelt into iridium bars to ship. but Shirley birthed a baby pig I named Mai Tai, which was nice. The Junimos had harvested the bok choy on day 173, so I went to Pierre to buy 100 amaranth seeds for the crop order quest, which I'll be planting whenever I have open spots. Since it was a very lucky day, I started making my way down the dangerous mines, where I died on the spiral floor 19 while being swarmed by the frickin' squids. I ate a cheese and went back in, then passed out on level 28 at 2 AM. Day 174 was more of the same, fighting my way past the super deadly enemies in the mines. I also decided to gather hardwood while I was on the iron levels and made it to level 55 before 2 AM. The crop fairy graced me with her presence that night and sprinkled her magic on some of my pumpkins. How nice of her. On day 175, I warped to the desert and traded my 164 jades for staircases, then took them back to the valley and staircased down the rest of the reset mines to finish Key's quest. I noticed it was keg day, meaning I got to collect the deliciously valuable wine, and refill the kegs with even more star fruits and ancient fruits. After picking some crops on the island, I traded my magma caps for pineapple seeds and planted them in their stead, in order to have enough for Caroline's Island Ingredients quest. The Junimos had harvested the first amaranths and cranberries of the season on day 176, and of course I filled up the 24 open spots with more amaranths for Lewis' quest. Since I hadn't gotten around to shipping the wines yesterday, I was looking forward to tonight's paycheck. I was very happy to see Emily's quest on the special orders board to get her 40 different syrups and expand her stock. Excuse me, there's sweet gem berry syrup? I thought this was a good time to see in how far I could decorate the winery, so I bought the wallpaper catalog, but nope. Will I need an extra shed for my bar? I had a lot of slime piling up in my chests, so I made 5 egg presses to process it into slime eggs. I went to the Wizards to get the last obelisk on day 177, then went to Sandy's to buy 400 more starfruit seeds to plant on Ginger Island. By then, I had decided that I wanted to stick to my plan of making the winery the bar, and was itching to get to work on decorating it, so that's what I did. The long row of brew stations and bar machines is supposed to be reminiscent of a long bar counter, and this little cutie will be the bartender working it. I wasn't finished before the end of the day, but it was starting to look nice and cozy. After finishing my chores on day 178, which included harvesting my greenhouse ancient fruit, I did a big geode opening at Clint's, netting me more ores, coal, and over 10,000 G from selling all the minerals I didn't need. Then I worked on collecting more decorations for the farm. First, I took the dwarf to the movies where I played the crane game before watching Mysterium with them. Then I collected the 3 secret statues, Ferogomon, Ntguf, and Pinky Lemon. Terra Emily, Uxolu Paloon. I don't want to drink my sangria alone, so here, Clint. I spent the morning of day 179 in the winery. The chest full of drink ingredients was filling up nicely, and I decided that the Tiki Rare Crow will be working the cash register, while Pinky Lemon will be the waiter. A train was passing through, but it didn't drop anything, unfortunately. Other than that, not much happened, except for that I spent the evening in the mines gathering hardwood. On day 180, I harvested more amaranth and picked up the yams and eggplants my Junimos had gotten for me and planted the last of the 100 amaranth seeds. Now I just need to wait for it all to grow. I crafted 3 more brew stations to add to my bar and continued to work on making syrups for Emily. Then Pierre sold me 200 pumpkin seeds and Robin sold me 3 stacks of wood. After sorting and painting the chests in the winery, the herbs and vegetables will be in the green chest, the fruits and flowers in the red one, and the mushrooms and nuts in the orange one. It was back into the mines for more hardwood. My fairy roses were fully grown on day 181, but the Junimos wouldn't come out to pick them since it was raining. Using the wood I bought from Robin, I crafted 45 more kegs and added them to the road. There were so many that they started to overspill into the tunnel. I also bought 2 stove fireplaces from Robin and placed them inside the bar and tried creating a nice seating arrangement outside. I also put down some flower pots with deluxe retaining soil inside the bar, where I was planning on growing some decorative hops and grapes. Day 182 was a very lucky day, but before I could speed off to the desert, I had to take care of my pumpkin harvest, otherwise the second round wouldn't have enough time to grow. I had to buy more seeds from Pierre, but he was taking his sweet time. So I first went to the dwarf to get more bombs, and also took Lewis's Master Forager quest to send the best forage, whatever that means. When I finally had the seeds and put them all in the ground, it was back to the Skull Caverns for more coal and ores. We've now officially reached the part of every perfection playthrough that can get a tad repetitive and tedious, but is still extremely important and satisfying. So I'll just say that day 183 was cake day. Day 184 was an important day, since it was the Stardew Valley Fair and I finally wanted to start advertising my boozy wares in town. Before it started, I traded the mahogany furniture I had placed outside the winery with the walnut set, since I preferred it, and then got to work making my first mocktails and cocktails. Strawberry fajito, mocking mule, citrus smash, cranberry lime spritz, farmer's punch, summer potluck punch, permanent proper, lightning haze, and spirited away. Hugo and I galloped into the town square where I set up my Grange display and was so proud of my first drinks.
Isn't that amazing?
Then I talked to everybody and ate a burger while waiting for Lewis to finish his judging. What do you mean second place? You obviously have no appreciation for the art of mixology. Using the 500 star tokens, I got the triple shot espresso, then went home and put the drinks on the tables outside. At least my patrons will appreciate them, and I don't think the mayor will be a welcome guest. I tried to ship Iridium Forage for the Master Forager's quest on day 185. In my quest log, it specifically asks for Gold Star Forage, but Iridium quality is objectively better, right? I was able to pick and ship lots of pineapples for Caroline's quest as well, and then I continued working on the Speakeasy. I planted hops and grape starters I had bought at the general store and added some casks to lean into the rustic look. Then I spent the rest of the evening decorating outside, putting down bits and pieces here and there. So apparently Iridium quality forage doesn't count towards the quest. I shipped all the Gold Star forage I had and paid the Statue of Uncertainty to change my forage professions. Hey Penny, if you were a flower, you'd be a damn delight. After planting some artichokes, I traded 3 prismatic shards for a magic rock candy and put down more pathing and fence posts around the farm. That night, I stuck with the foraging profession at level 5 to have a chance at double harvests, but chose the tracker profession so that I would be able to get Gold Star quality. According to my quest log on day 187, I had shipped 31 Gold Star forageables and had 23 days to gather 69 more. Yikes, that's a minimum of 3 per day and sounds like a real chore. Lewis had sent me a mini shipping bin for shipping 100 amaranth, which would make a nice addition to my animal enclosure. I visited Mr. Key in his walnut room and bought his seasoning, then cooked 2 Gold Star tropical curries and chowed down on one of them. Of the 4 dishes that boost your foraging, tropical curry gives you the biggest chance to pick up Gold Star forage. And if you cook it with Key seasoning and are already at level 10, you're technically supposed to have a 50% chance to get Gold Star forage. Sadly, there just weren't many things lying around today, and I even went to the desert and the island to look around, but had only found 3 Gold Star items by the end of the day. Day 188 was another day of looking for forageables without really finding any. I even got rid of the debris around Cindersap Forest to have more chances for it to spawn, but at least the 2 modded ones I did find were gold quality, and 1 turned into 2 thanks to my foraging perk. I had taken on the Skull Cavern Invasion quest when I went to Mr. Key, so I would be able to afford more Key seasoning. And since day 189 was a super good luck day, I took hundreds of staircases and a magic rock candy to the Skull Caverns. I had staircased past level 100 by 9:20 AM, getting 40 more key gems, and of course I stayed there for the rest of the day to gather as many goodies as I could. It was an extremely successful run, and I passed out on level 244 at 2 AM. Here's a little look at my Skull Caverns loot on the morning of day 190, including over 600 iridium and almost 80 radioactive ores, 10 prismatic shards, and lots of other nice things. Then it was just another day of doing farm chores, buying sugar to make more syrups, because you might remember that I'm also still working on Emily's quest, and looking for Gold Star forageables. I still only had 3 by the end of the day. While the forage turnout on Ginger Island disappointed me, the bountiful starfruit harvest most certainly did not. Day 191 may still say 190 at the top, but it was most definitely a lot different from yesterday, because it was cake day! I woke up to the Legend achievement on day 192, meaning I had made
10 million gold.
I harvested the last pineapples needed to complete the Island Ingredients quest, and after opening some geodes at Clint's for more coal and ores, I took another look at the special orders board. I've noticed that the new modded quests haven't been showing up ever since I took the Master Forager quest upon myself, which makes me kind of sad since it's taking quite long and I feel like I might not even be able to finish it in time. Then I spent the remaining hours of the day decorating the farm a bit more. Day 193 was a big day of nothing. After doing my farm chores and putting down a few more decorations, I looked for more forage. At least I got 5 gold star things today. On day 194, I had finally collected enough syrups to finish Emily's quest. 10 mango, orange, peach, and wild strawberry syrups, respectively. When I put them into the saloon fridge, I was given 6,500 G. I guess the real prize is getting to buy more stuff at the saloon. Oh, Emily, I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you walk away. Some hazelnut lattes were waiting for me at my coffee machines, and after collecting them, I put pumpkins, cinnamon, and coffee beans back in to make pumpkin spice ground coffee. I also used the fairy roses from a few days ago to whip up my first pixie bitters, another important ingredient for my drink-making endeavors. The last pumpkin harvest of the season was ready to be picked on day 195. I spent the day decorating on my farm before it was time to head to the Spirits Eve festival. Hey Shane, you must be made of cheese, because you're looking Gouda tonight. Hey Elliot, it's a good thing I have my library card, because I am totally checking you out. Hey Alex, are you a campfire? Because you're hot, and I want s'more. My reward for making it all the way through the maze was, of course, the golden pumpkin, and I had a drink with my buddy Pam before heading to bed. The last day of fall was a slow one. Since it was a Sunday, I took my jades to the desert to trade them for over 100 staircases and walked onto my island farm, teeming with fully grown star fruits. The 160 seeds were not enough to fill up all the empty spots, so I had to go to the oasis to buy more. I spent the evening fishing for the Gourmand frog statue and the foliage print before heading to bed. Winter had arrived on day 197. It instantly put
me in the mood for an amaretto sour that has a nice almondy flavor. There were no crops to take care of this season, so I visited my animals in their barn before heading out to see if I could find Gold Star modded winter forageables. I must say, it makes me kind of sad that iridium forage, which is obviously better than gold forage, doesn't count for this quest, and it's feeling like an impossible task. After getting a butterfly hutch for 200 bat wings, I decided to work on the last few friendships I had to max out. Krobus got a birthday horseradish, and Jas and the wizard were also very happy with their gifts, and now loved me to the max. That meant I was just missing Pierre, Kent, the dwarf, and Leo.
Day 198 was a super lucky day and I was completely out of coal, so it was the perfect day for a nice stroll through the Skull Caverns. I staircased down the first 100 levels or so until the iridium became more plentiful, then got to work collecting whatever was lying around. It just so happens that a lot of those things were prismatic shards, which I was definitely not mad at. It went quite well, as you can see by the contents of my backpack on the morning of day 199. It was another lovely wine day, and I decided to process my coffee beans, pumpkins, and artichokes before adding more starfruits to the kegs. On my way into town, I saw that I was finally offered a new quest to get Emily 40 mixers for cocktails, and was sure that I'd be able to finish it very soon. So I got to work making 10 ginger ales, tonic waters, and club sodas, and bought 10 Joja Colas from the vending machine at the saloon. Hey Emily, you know what you would look really beautiful in? My arms. Excuse me, Leah, but I think you dropped something. My jaw. So I've put some thought into who I want to marry in this thirsty playthrough, and I think I found the perfect candidate. Someone who's loved by all. Someone who will accept me for who I am and won't mind my promiscuous tendencies. Someone who won't go around telling my side pieces that I'm officially taken. It's Krobus, of course, who accepted my void pendant, agreed to move in, and just as I had planned, wanted to keep it a secret.
Isn't that amazing?
Sounds good to me, you little cutie. but it looks like we're going to have to work on your drink preferences. The cherry on top of this wonderful day were the 1.3 million gold I made that night. On day 200, I added 30 more kegs to the tunnel, where it was starting to get crowded, then found my finished tonic waters and club sodas in the winery. While doing my daily rounds of trying to find Gold Star forage, I gave Leo a mango and asked him to go to the movies with me. So after dropping off the drinks at the saloon and getting another 6500 G, I played the crane game for a bit before watching the Zuzu City Express while Leo munched on his magic rock candy. Seeing as I already had a lot of kegs, I decided to collect my oak resin for the last time and took down all of the trees to make more room for forage to spawn. I'm getting desperate. Day 201 was full of nothingness, just me and Hugo looking for non-existent forageables. I wanted to drown my sorrows at the saloon, where I took a look at Emily's expanded mocktail stock, had a wild mango cooler, and decided to hand out a round of beer to everyone there. Aloha Gus, umi pia e olu olu. Hey Leah, what's it like to be the most gorgeous person in this room? Krobus had moved in on day 202, and I was thrilled, not least because he gave me a delicious poppy seed muffin right away. I returned the favor and gave him one of his favorites, then took care of the farm. The special orders board had a new quest from Emily, who was asking for 40 juices. Luckily, I had enough pineapples stored away in a chest to make them right away and hand them into the saloon, netting me a measly 2500 G. My mining chest was full of iridium ore, and the 10 furnaces I had weren't smelting it fast enough, so I crafted 14 more. Now that Krobus was here, I wanted to start working on the interior of our home to make it nice for him. But progress was slow since it had gotten late and was very dark inside. I put down some random lamps to brighten the place up a bit, but only managed to put down some wallpaper and flooring before it was time for bed. Good morning, Rumi. Have a horseradish. The wallpaper I had chosen for the kitchen wasn't sparking joy, so I changed it again. Who else is infuriated by the fact that it can be such a struggle to achieve symmetry with the rugs and furniture? I ultimately decided on this layout for now before I headed out to collect my finished vegetable juices and keg more starfruits. Of course, juice isn't as profitable as wine, but 300,000 G is nothing to sneeze at. Before heading to the ice fishing competition on day 204, which I had skipped last year, I shipped 100 iridium bars and said hi to my boozy animals. Hey Elliot, are you a fishing line? Because you've got me hooked. Hey Maru, do you like sushi? Because I'd love to roll with you. Despite the unfair head start that Elliot and Willie always get, I beat the competition and took home the sailor's cap and various tackles. I thought about leaning into the sexy sailor trope, since I was getting tired of the arcane hat anyways, but immediately decided to put my trusty forager's hat back on. With the few hours I had left in the day, I decorated more of the kitchen and planted some of the mushroom starters in garden pots. Taking a look at my quest log on day 205, I saw I had 5 more days to ship 40 gold star forageables. This was the point at which I finally decided to avoid this quest and just stockpile gold star forage until I had enough to take the quest again. My animals were out of hay, but Marnie decided to not work today, and walked right past me. Lady, you have one job. Leo finally decided to move to the valley today, and when I walked onto the beach on Ginger Island, I found Marnie there and bullied her a bit more. Then I just decorated another little area on the farm before bed. Pam the goat sent me a beer in the mail on day 206, which I drank right away. Yes, it might be a bit early, but tap beer is always best at its freshest. Well, hello Marnie, how ever so gracious of you to sell me some hay so I can feed my starving animals. Then I spent all day decorating our house, which somehow always takes me forever, so I had only gotten this far when I passed out. Days 207 and 208 were basically more of the same, where I just continued decorating the house and really wished I could give Krobus a bed. Shadow people also deserve a comfortable night's rest. Emily was offering a new quest called A Dream of Winter, to find a drink for the ancient people of the valley and put 5 of them into the saloon fridge and give 1 to the person who stands closest to the artifacts of the past. Let me just say, I love this idea to make it more of a riddle instead of just outright saying, give Pam a beer or whatever. Taking a look at the drink recipes, I found the Blue Island Cooler, which has a description that says no one knows the origin, but the recipe has been passed on for generations. It sounded pretty fitting and required ancient fruit syrup, something that I only had 3 of at the moment. I made as many as I could and was able to put them in the fridge. Now I just had to think about who stands closest to the artifacts. Gunther? But he can't be gifted. This was my progress on the farmhouse by the end of day 208. It's coming together, just really slowly. Day 209 would be a day to remember, as Krobus gifted me with my last star drop.
Isn't that amazing?
The ancient fruit syrups and some hazelnut ground coffee I had made were waiting for me in the winery. I shipped one of the bags and turned the other one into a latte to ship, which officially marked the full shipment of all of the coffee drinks. Theoretically, I also had special quests related to the coffee mod, but hadn't seen any yet. Hopefully I'll find them next year. After handing in the last 2 Blue Island coolers to the saloon, I still didn't know who stood closest to the artifacts. You can't even get to Gunther behind his desk, and I thought about Sam, who works as a janitor in the museum, but that didn't work either. I'd have to think about this a bit more. Other than that, I just bought some decorations from Robin and the dwarf, and fished up the squirrel figurine on the island. Day 210 was Cake Day! I was actually finished pretty quickly, so I still had a few hours in the day to make the farm feel more homey and welcoming. I got rid of some of the pathing right here so I would be able to plant a banana sapling, but realized I didn't have one at the moment and wanted to get one from the island trader soon. To be honest, I kind of forget about it, but I'll be sure to add it in the next 100 days. Gotta love that wine money. It was the start of the night market on day 211, which is one of my favorite events of the year. I passed the time before it started by doing my farm tours and finishing the cocktail quest. I'll be honest, I cheated and looked at the mod file. Apparently it's referring to Sandy, which I would have never guessed on my own. Finishing it got me 3000 G. I also decided to get to work on crafting all of the recipes and made pretty good headway, but was missing fiber, hardwood, and coal to finish everything. Then Hugo took me to the beach where we bought lots of decorations, a coffee, and Lupini's painting before diving into the reset mines for the missing crafting materials. Day 212 was another very lucky day, having me staircased on the Skull Caverns, where I was hoping to find lots of coal and iridium. Once I was out of staircases, I downed a magic rock candy for increased luck, and I think these results really speak for themselves. On day 213, I was just about to head back into the mines for more fiber when I realized there was a much smarter way to go about this and went back to the farm, where I crafted and planted 336 fiber seeds. I wouldn't harvest it until the 1st of spring though, so the soil would be pre-tilled and watered for the spring seeds. The rest of the day was very chill, and I spent my evening at the night market, where I bought the new Lupini painting and picked up another coffee. The mayor had sent me a letter on day 214 saying Pierre was my Secret Santa gift recipient. It was a bummer, since I only needed more hearts with Kent, Leo, and the dwarf. The desert trader gave me another magic rock candy for 3 prismatic shards, then I bought 2 movie tickets for Kent and myself. Don't take this the wrong way, Jody, I would invite you to if I could. Of course, I had to play the crane game for a bit before buying Kent a Star Drop sorbet, a treat almost everybody loves, and watching the Zuzu City Express with him. Then it was back to decorating the farmhouse. In case it wasn't clear already, I'm going for a blue and brown color scheme. It's all kinds of mismatched, but that's okay. I think that makes it look cozier. One part of perfection I had kind of been ignoring up until now was cooking, of all things. I wanted to save my cocktail making for better occasions and focused on the food you can make in the kitchen for now. Luckily, I had saved lots of the crops and fish required and was able to cook a good amount, and after buying some basic ingredients from Pierre, I was also able to make a lot of the sweet dishes. But of course, I realized that I was missing a few crops, those being cauliflower, green beans, and corn, as well as some fish. So I wanted to make sure to take care of those things soon. Also, I saw that there were modded dishes I still had to learn the recipes for, so I was interested to see how those would come into play. On the morning of day 216, I went straight to Pierre to buy the missing crops and went to the island, but there were no open spots at the moment, so I would have to wait a bit to plant them. I used some frozen tears to make more club sodas, and then it was time for Cake Day! Krobus proved he is the best roommate on day 217, and I decided to save his lucky lunch for a different day and instead eat the survival burger I had cooked yesterday to do some foraging. I'm trying to stock up on Gold Star forage, so the next time I take the Master Forager Challenge, I'll be ready and have it all stored away in a chest. Speaking of special orders board quests, I'm kind of sad to say that I haven't had a quest provided by my mods in a long time, and I'm kind of worried that there's something I'm doing wrong. Gus had sent me a letter asking for a coconut for a cocoa no-no, which sounds amazing, and I really hope he'll share his recipe with me. Some starfruits were fully grown on Ginger Island, so I was also able to plant the missing cooking ingredients. Then I started putting pasts down here in front of my greenhouse and keg shed. After having my morning espresso on day 218, I picked the mushrooms growing in my kitchen for the first time. A gold quality one. That's interesting. Some new club sodas were ready, meaning I could make a wild melon cooler, the single mocktail recipe I was able to make in my kitchen for some reason. While doing my farm chores, Hugo galloped right over a fish pond, and although I couldn't make him do it again, I think my horse might be Jesus. Hey dwarf, have a topaz. Hello Leo, care for a mango? Nothing much else happened that day, except for that I harvested and replanted more starfruit and crafted most of the missing recipes, except for the ones that needed fiber, of course. I continued working on my friendships on day 219. I took Leo to the movies, bought him a cotton candy, and we watched Zuzu City Express, which he enjoyed. I was super excited to find the sweet gemberry syrup as part of Emily's stock, and bought 10 so I don't have to make it myself. Can you imagine having to grow 3 sweet gem berries just to make 1 syrup? This inspired me to start making some beverages, and I whipped up an apple ginger fizz, an apricot blitz, a blackberry mint refresher, a cocoa loco, and a mermaid lagoon. Sadly, my progress was stymied by the lack of citrus fruits, which motivated me to clear out some of the debris in Cindersap Forest to make more room for forage to spawn. Day 220 was super lucky, so after buying some bombs from the dwarf, I warped to the desert for another Skull Caverns run. I got a lucky ring to drop from slaying an iridium bat, which I didn't even know could happen. There was a red cowboy hat in a chest that I put on right away. It looks spicy, just like me. Hey Santa baby. On day 221, I headed into town with a rabbit's foot in my pockets to celebrate the Feast of the Winter Star. Hey Alex, if you were a Christmas ornament, you'd be the star on top of my tree. Hey Harvey, if you were a Christmas cookie, you'd be a gingerbread cutie. I gave Pierre the rabbit's foot and was surprised by Maru with an emerald. Do you like the song Jingle Bells? Because you're making my heart go jingle all the way. Once again, I kind of felt out of place at this festival that focuses so heavily on family, especially since Krobus doesn't come to these get-togethers, so I just ended up chatting with Linus and Leo before going home. I decided that I wouldn't just wait to get lucky with the citrus forage, and bought another lemon and lime sapling to add to the greenhouse on day 222. After all, citrus is always an essential part of drink building. I also made a few more pomegranate and mango syrups since I was running low. Good lord, I don't want to do the biome balance quest again, just give me a cool new cocktail quest. Then I decorated some more outside of the greenhouse that evening, adding more pathing and of course a trusty seating arrangement. Give me a K.
K.
Give me an E.
E.
Give me a G.
G.
What does that spell? Wine money. Day 224 was the last day of the year. The Queen of Sauce taught me her last recipe and I said hi to my roomie, then cooked a fiddlehead risotto, a shrimp cocktail, a bruschetta, and a mango sticky rice. I still have a few recipes to go, but that was all I could do for now. After replenishing my supply of colloid clints and trading over 300 jades for staircases, I tried to fish for the pyramid decal but didn't hook it. So at some point I gave up and bought an unhealthy amount of rhubarb seeds from Sandy in preparation for the new season. The last hours of the day were spent hanging out with one of the best people in Stardew Valley and a refreshing beverage. Yasugas, mia bira paracolo. Grandpa and Mr. Key came to me in my sleep that night and were very satisfied with Fizzy Farm's progress, all thanks to my never-ending thirst. That brings us to the end of our second year in the valley, and despite some hiccups, I was able to accomplish all of my thirst-quenching goals and then some. The next year on Fizzy Farm will be the last one, and you're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to stay tuned. As always, thanks a ton for watching, and have an amazing day. Bye y'all!